Hello? Hi. So, I have depression. Wow, a teenager with depression. How rare. I know I'm special. So, I've had depression for about 7 years, and it has been on and off, different levels, different layers, different kinds of depression, which is fun. Basically, I started counseling in November of last year. So the reason why I started therapy is because I was having a lot of trouble with lack of motivation. I really struggled with daily tasks such as like keeping your room tidy or like waking up at a certain time. Like everything was like just really like a lot of work and it was difficult. So my counselor suggested that I try some antidepressants. So I got put on these medications for a few weeks, and honestly, I wasn't seeing very much change. I was still like just very unmotivated, and I didn't see any improvement, I guess, in my mood or anything of that sort. But apparently, these lovely antidepressant things, like all of them, apparently take like 4 to 6 weeks to fully get in gear, which is like a long time, man. So I got put on these antidepressants and they weren't working for the first half. But they were like, oh, we're gonna keep you on it just to see if it makes any change at the full 4 to 6 weeks. And I don't know what happened, but I must have had a bad reaction or something to that effect. But yeah, everything just went really downhill. I basically had this huge mental breakdown and I couldn't leave my bed. I would cry all the time. I refused to eat. It was an enjoyable experience. It's just this like, oh, don't look at that. I am wearing real pants. I am definitely not wearing PJ pants right now. Okay, so basically every night I would have these horrible nightmares. Like I would either be, my mind would replay the memories that I had, like of some of the worst times of my life. Like, I don't know, it was just awful. Some of them would be like really gory, where it was just like sitting in this chair and you just take this giant knife and like you stab it into your leg and then just rip open the flesh. Like I don't know, those were my dreams every single night. And so every single night I would never be able to get like a wink of sleep. I could sleep for like 20 hours and still not feel rested. It was just this horrible mix of like being conscious and unconscious at the same time, where you're like incredibly exhausted and fatigued but you can't like actually sleep. It's the worst. I keep on saying like, yeah, I was constantly my brain doesn't work. I was constantly distressed and anxious all the time. All the time. 24/7. 7 days a week. 12 months in a year. I'm sorry. And like, because I was so exhausted too, I kept hearing like this voice in my head that was like, maybe life really isn't worth living, maybe you should just kill yourself. Fun stuff like that. I had all these different ways that I could have killed myself. But they all seemed really really painful and scary. I've also like struggled with self-harm in the past. So I was trying really hard to avoid that because I know how much I regret it now. It was just like this voice inside my head that was just like, do it, do it, do it. And I was like, nah, man, I can't. Basically, I got to this really low point where I thought that if I stayed in the situation that I was in, that I would just end up committing suicide. So I ended up getting admitted to the hospital where I stayed for a few days. It really isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. The people were really nice, and I was also in a safe environment with professional help just at the ready. So when they found out that some medication wasn't working, they were able to just switch my medication like that. There, I can snap. I know that it look like I can, but I can't. What am I doing? Focus, Alexi, focus. So being at the hospital helps me a lot with my eating and my sleeping and just being a lot more mentally stable, which was so helpful. So my neighbors are going by on a bike. It's really awkward. I hope they don't look at my window. That'd be really embarrassing. I can't like gather my thoughts. Like my train of thoughts are just like all over the place. Just focus. This is such a long video and I have to edit this. Like, get in gear, Alexi. So I came home from the hospital a lot more mentally stable, which was really great. But the problem is that it still didn't really help with my motivation or the things that I was struggling with before. So it's this really obnoxious cycle of just like trying this one medicine, finding out that it doesn't work, and then having to wait time in between the medication and then the time changing it, and then the 4 to 6 weeks to see if it actually helps, and then find out it doesn't, and it's just a really frustrating cycle that I wish I didn't have to be a part of, but I don't have a choice. Yeah. Like the fact that they're supposed to make you feel better, and then they made me feel worse, and then I have to try all these other medications that are still not helping. I mean, for a while, I felt like I didn't deserve to be depressed. I felt like I live a very privileged life, and I am given more than I need or could ever need. And I felt like I was so ungrateful and just a wretched person for feeling so low about myself when I'm clearly so much more privileged than so many other people in the world. So a lot of denial went into my depression too. My therapist actually mentioned to me that the depression I have typically takes, like people who have experienced similar depression is, I just lost my train of thought. People with similar depression typically take 3 to 5 years to get to a point where they're functioning normally. So that's fun. So if I were to give you any advice, I would probably say that if you show any signs of depression, get on that, get help for it. There's so many different options nowadays to get help, and there's so many people out there who are willing and wanting to help you, so get help. I feel like I've wasted all of my teen years to depression. I feel like I've wasted so much time and effort and so much of other people's time and effort just being depressed. So once you start feeling it, get help, man. There's even like a national suicide prevention lifeline that you can call, or there is a number that you can text on the phone. Like there are so many options for you to get help, and it's really important. Everyone I personally feel like a lot of people ignore their mental health, and I know that I'm one of those people, but you don't have to be. Also, one thing that I would recommend to people who have never experienced depression, it's really important that you're educated on it, and you don't have to have a degree on it or anything, but you have to like be able to know how to respond to people that are going through depression. Also, everyone's depression is different, so what might work really well for some person can work really horribly for another person. So you just have to adhere to their needs and, be very flexible and try and be just very understanding and compassionate towards them. Because a lot of times they don't even like the person that they are. Like, I know that, like, being depressed. I hate the person that I am right now. And they will be very appreciative if you don't just, you know, disvalue their feelings or tell them that they're wrong or that they don't deserve to feel the way they do. Because all feelings are real. Whether they're accurate or not is a different problem, but you can't tell someone that they're not feeling a certain way. I've had friends that are depressed and I did not handle it well, so I know that it is very important to handle it well. Don't be like me. If someone tells you about their mental health or you know about it, do not share it with anyone else. I repeat, do not share it with anyone else. Like, I don't care if it is a person that they will probably tell anyways, or if it's a person that you trust and they won't tell anyone else. Doesn't matter. Do not share it with anyone. I know that if you have never been depressed, this is probably very like confusing information, or like, why is it so important that I don't share? And the reason is because it should be a private matter, and it can feel very invasive and violating for the person who has depression, especially if they don't know that who you have told. It's a very private and intimate piece of information that you can learn about someone, and not everyone wants it to be shared. I know that for me personally, I am really embarrassed about my depression, and I've been really reluctant to share it with anyone else, or at least the depth of how bad it really is because I don't want people to identify me as that too, or pity me. I hate being pitied. I hate being like coddled because of my mental health. Me too. And like, honestly, I know that if I'm gonna be straight up honest with you, it's like, I care about my reputation. I know that that's not something that I should care about, but I do. And I'm supposed to be like a teen leader and someone that you can come to with your problems. Like, I'm supposed to be this person. I'm supposed to be all these things, and I'm not. And it's embarrassing to admit that, and it makes me feel shameful that I can't be that for people. And I know that I have friends that may feel responsible for my sadness. I know that I personally, a lot of times, take on the responsibility to keep people happy. And I know that when I can't, it gives me like crippling low self-esteem and really feel really horrible about myself that I wasn't there for them. And I don't want to make people feel that way. It's embarrassing that I call myself a Christian and I have all these different beliefs, but I can't represent them, and I'm really sorry if you can hear the dog barking outside. He never stops. Welcome to my life. And a lot of it has to do with the way people deal with pain too. Like, some people are very open with their feelings, and like, if they're going through anything painful, they like to share with other people to help them through it. While other people are very private and they keep all of their feelings very personal, and if they are going through anything, only a selective few people know about it. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other, because they're not. It's just different ways of coping. And to someone who shares all their feelings during painful times, it can be very confusing when people want to be private about it, but you need to respect their wishes and be mindful of the way that they want their feelings portrayed as. Ugh. Why does none of the words that come out of my mouth make sense? I don't know. The person that is dealing with the depression should always have the choice to keep it private. This is a really long video. I have to edit this. Okay, it could be like 10 times shorter if I just hurried it up, but I'm slow. Should I just start over? Nope. Okay, gotta keep going because I don't want to spend longer on this. I'm not talking about my depression in past tense like a lot of people do. I'm talking it in the present tense because I still have depression. It's still an everyday struggle. It still really sucks. But at least I'm getting help for it. And I think that if you are struggling with any sort of mental problems, then you should get help for it too. I feel like I have missed so many opportunities, and I've ruined so many friendships, and I've wasted so much time having depression. So please take care of yourself. And please know that your mental health is just as important as any other part of your life. But yeah, I just wanted to make a video explaining why I haven't been answering texts or calls and stuff. And hopefully I will be able to very soon, and hopefully this quarantine will be over and we all can party later. But for now, it's hard. I don't know how to end this video. Thank you for listening, and if you need to get help, get help. I just knocked it over. Okay, bye.